Now we're going to ground the piece a little bit by creating the base tile and this backsplash tile. So to clear up our space, let's just hide everything. And then we're simply going to add a plane. Extrude it or scale it outward on the x-axis. Okay, and maybe scale it a little bit on the y as well. And now we need to add that tile material. There's an add-on called Substance 3D Panel. And essentially, Substance is a massive material and asset library currently owned by Adobe. And they recently come out with an add-on for Blender. It's super convenient because you can just click here and the button will take you to a community asset library on your browser. So this is the community assets here, and you basic search at the top. There's some categories on the right, and we're looking for tiles. So there's a bunch of options that come up. I have already downloaded the tiles that I'm going to use for this project. I believe it was this one, tiled old USSR, that I downloaded. But obviously, shoot your shot. Choose one that you like that speaks to your artistic eye. Oh, and this is the one I used for the backsplash. So both of these materials are already downloaded on my laptop, which you need to do in order to apply the material to your object. Let's hop back into Blender. Okay, so select the object and then hit load. And I'm going to navigate to where I have my materials saved. I actually just have a folder called 3D Substance, or actually Substance 3D, that's what it's called. Okay, so as you can see, I've applied a material to this base plane. You'll probably also notice that the squares, the tiles are stretched. And one way to solve this, at least the way I solved it, is to scale this plane back to a square and then use an array modifier to, quote, like lengthen the counter. So there's no stretching going on. And essentially we're going to do the same thing for this tile backsplash. Awesome, so now we have basically the scene. And let's see how everything else looks. Okay, we can take this down. Cool, cool, cool. This needs to be bigger, clearly. Right, moving on to modeling the vase and importing those flowers. Next, let's make this little coaster. So Shift A, add a cylinder, scale it on the Z-axis, add an edge split modifier, and then subdivide it. So we have this nice smooth edge and shade smooth, of course. And then we can select this bottom face, inset it, and then scale down. Okay, one more time, and then maybe extrude down so we can have a sharper little base there. And then maybe we could even bevel the edge here. So toggle to edge select, Control Alt Shift, and then Control B. And move this up a tiny bit. All right, looks pretty good. So we're going to move that down under the teapot. We can move the floor down a bit. Awesome. So that's looking very good. and scale it up to match. And then maybe scale it on the z-axis as well because it's a bit too thick. Keep scaling it. Okay, cool. For the materials, I'm going to use Substance 3D again and just load up some marble materials that I've downloaded from the community asset library at Substance 3D. So I've imported the marble material and applied it to our little coaster here. As you can see, it's not exactly the right color. So we can change that by going into the shading tab and then checking out the node map. And then seeing, so just a quick overview. When users download materials from Substance 3D, they're essentially downloading a PBR map. So that stands for photo-based realism, I think, map, and usually contains basically, anywhere between 3 to 6 images that each inform Blender about different aspects of the material. So we have the displacement, we have the color map, we have the normal map, yeah, etc. You get the idea. So we want to alter the color of this coaster. So that means we need to alter this base color image. And we can do that simply by adding a color ramp, plugging this into the color ramp. And as you can see, we're changing the color on the coaster. So instead of changing the color or changing the intensity of the color, we're going to change the color itself. So we're going to go up to like a kind of a nicer light, maybe not nicer, but lighter brown, red, warm tones. Okay, cool. That's a bit closer. Nice. So after this, essentially I imported a checker PNG, and then I added that here just as a plane, and put it right on top of the coaster. And I also used something called the shrink wrap modifier to really make sure that plane was right on top of the top face of the coaster. So last but not least, we have the final element of our scene, which is this little birdie here. And we're gonna just do a quick, maybe like time-lapse sculpt in another project file so we can keep this fairly organized.